Hi, I'm Helen. I'm 30 years old. I'm German and I live in Gran Canaria in Spain. I studied renewable energies engineering and now do my PhD at Nottingham Business School. I work for the Institute of Technology Canary Islands for the Smart Bees project. If you want to learn more about it, I suggest to check out the website. I do my PhD within this project. It's a project funded by the Marie Curie Innovative Training Networks, and this really supports multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary research, which I really enjoy. And yes, I also really enjoy to live in the Canary Islands. It's a great experience, and doing my PhD in this environment is really wonderful. I'm very passionate about it, and it's what I like to do. I think from the beginning, when I first left Germany at the age of 19, I wanted to study renewable energies because I wanted to enable remote places to have clean energy. So I'm very happy that I found a way on how to combine my passions about technology and environment and society. Germany, which is decreasing its fossil fuel power and nuclear power production, but is not keeping up with the production of renewable energies, so they can just get energy from the neighboring nations. But this is not possible in Gran Canaria or, well, any of the Canary Islands. So they are really dependent on fossil fuels and the prices, and we have seen also in the recent years with the crisis, when the pandemic started, I saw anxiety of the unknown, where people just didn't know what will happen. Will they have energy? Will they have food? Will they have water? Because in the islands, they also depend on energy for water production, for pumping, and this is really, really important. So everything is connected. So I think the energy transition on the islands is very important, and I think the local governments, they notice this and they know it, and that's why they engage in it. And for example, in the Canary Islands also we have the luck, let's say, that we have constant weather conditions more or less over the complete year, and therefore we have good potential for renewable energy production, but we also have a constant level of, more or less constant level of energy demand. Implementing renewable energies alone is not the solution. The Canary Islands are an outermost region of Spain. They are 8 islands in total. Canary Islands are heavily dependent on fossil fuels. So even though you might have traveled to Gran Canaria, for example, where I live, you see that there are lots of wind turbines and photovoltaic plants. They are still really heavily dependent on fossil fuels. So this thinking that there are high levels of renewable energy potential is true, but wind, sun, and ocean energy still remains majorly unused because of regulatory barriers. And you see this also reflected in the thinking of the locals, because they often complain about high energy prices, but actually the energy prices are already incentivized by the government to keep a similar price level to mainland Spain. The Canary Islands developed an energy transition plan, and they aim to decarbonize until 2040, which is, I think, a very ambitious goal, but it starts action. So it's important that this target has been set. And you see that every island has different characteristics. Every island has different geographical characteristics, context, even political context, and also different sizes. And this creates, even though those islands are from one archipelago creates different energy transition pathways. So we have, for example, El Hierro, which started already in 2015 with the implementation of a wind-pumped hydropower plant, which now enabled the island to have 60% of the year an energy system that is fully powered by renewables. But then we have on La Gomera, for example, we have a project from the ITC, which is called Microgrid Blue. There my colleagues are implementing different microgrids on the local level in order to decarbonize the island and through those decentralized energy solutions. And then we have Gran Canaria, which is bigger in size, and then you have where different technologies are used. So we have wind parks, we have photovoltaic power plants. We also have microgrids that are being developed, but industrial microgrids. But yes, overall, the energy transition plan also really wants the citizens to engage in the energy transition through implementation of photovoltaic systems and self-consumption. This is really a key aspect for the energy transition on the islands. And yes, with all the examples, I just want to show that the pathways and the solutions are very different on every island. You have to consider the context and the circumstances, and this is now in the Canary Islands where the weather conditions and the resources are really available. And we do have lots of sun and wind. So yes, but in the end we need different technology solutions and approaches in order to reach the goal of the energy transition. I think the energy transition is a pending issue everywhere, but especially on islands it's very important because you have, for example, the Canary Islands, they are isolated. They don't have any connection to a mainland power grid as you would have it on the mainland. Obviously, there you can do cross-national energy trading. You see this, for example. Islands are a great place to test technology innovations and business model innovations too, because you have those local challenges on the one hand, and then you have opportunities on the other. And I think the governments, they know this, and that's why they really drive the energy transition to go towards energy self-sufficiency and also remain an attractive tourist destination on the other side. And these are very good drivers, and I'm very happy that with my research I'm tackling these issues and kind of, or rather contribute to these discussions. In my research I focus on community microgrids and how the technology, business models and maybe policies need to be configured and made in order to create attractive solutions for investors and communities, that and how these packages can provide solutions for islands' energy transition. And there are many discussions about communities need to be engaged and in the energy transition. We want a just energy transition, which means we want a socially inclusive energy transition, and the future is envisioned to be, let's say, human-centered. We want the citizens to become the center of the future energy system, and many projects are focusing on behavioral changes from citizens needed, and also or are technology driven on which technology can be given to the citizens. With my research I want to have this consumer or community perspective, where I actually want to find out what is attractive from the citizen point of view, from the community point of view, to participate and engage. So, and that means, for example, the solution will not be to increase taxes or whatever, but create an attractive environment and conditions for the people to participate. And that in microgrids is because they might need to change their consumption behavior in order to make attractive business models. And a community perspective in this sense would mean that, for example, not everyone in the community has the same level of flexibility. So how I'm trying to investigate how still everyone can be included, and how the level of comfort can be maintained while also having an economic benefit for the individual or for the overall community. And at the same time, I'm trying to investigate the investor perspective, because microgrids for now have been majorly financed through government and research funds, and the government alone cannot pay for all the investment costs of the energy transition, and sometimes islands are even overlooked. Therefore, we need, for the island's energy transition, we need private investors that are interested into sustainable investment to engage into microgrid investments. But they have not been so interested in microgrids because it's risky and there's lack of standardization. But I want to turn the mindset around, let's say, to show that this lack of standardization in island environments is actually an opportunity. And like this, identify, okay, what could be attractive for investors to participate and invest, to bring, for the island's energy transition, more financing streams into the discussion, and showcase to the investors, look, these are the opportunities, this is what could be possible. Microgrids in island environments could be very interesting test beds for technologies. You could implement technology innovations and bring learnings back to the mainland, or also through looking at community microgrids. This could be beneficial for environmental and social values of the investors. And this is what I'm trying to combine in my research, to have like those two lenses instead of just the technology perspective. I'm trying to look at those two actors, which I personally find important for making community microgrids even possible and feasible. Every island is different and provides different conditions and different opportunities. There are no generalizations that I can make, and that maybe no one can make. The energy transition pathways are different, but at the same time we can take learnings from the islands. They demonstrate different aspects, different technology solutions and concepts, and how we can use them, and what are limiting factors, and I think this is as well a really interesting thing. And we can learn, for example, that priorities have to be set. And one example that I really like, because I focus in my research especially on the Canary Islands, but I'm also interested in the Orkney Islands, and there you see, for example, that the Orkney Islands, they face really harsh weather conditions, and they have very high level of energy poverty, while on the other hand you have the Canary Islands, which have a mild climate, and we don't need heating in the Canary Islands. So energy poverty is just not such a big issue. So really, depending on where you want to implement technologies and microgrids, you need to have different perspectives and help the society also to tackle their issues. And I think this is really important. I also learned that the energy transition at the local level is a really important point to start. So I think islands are a great example on how to start the energy transition in a local level and find place-based solutions. This is a really big topic right now from in research and from policymakers. And I think islands are a great example and testbed on how this can look and how learnings can then be translated to the mainland. So instead of creating policies for the mainland and trying to adapt them to islands, it makes sense to learn from islands and adapt them to the mainland instead. I think with regard to my research, I want to demonstrate how microgrids can be a great solution for the island's energy transition. But at the same time, this is just like an island has geographical boundaries and there's a closed ecosystem. You can take these learnings on how this energy transition has been achieved in the future, hopefully, to the mainland and learn from it. Because in the end, microgrids and other concepts like energy communities, which are now continuously in discussion and supported all over the world, need to happen also in the mainland energy system, because we all want to have, not only in islands but also in the mainland, a just energy system, a human-centered energy system, which is only possible through solutions like energy communities, microgrids, or other concepts that my colleagues investigate called positive energy districts. And they are all decentralized energy solutions with focus on this human aspect. And while we have the geographical boundaries that are set in islands, in the end we will have similar boundaries, maybe in cities, through districts and so on. So we can learn from islands to see how they challenge and their systems and structures, and then see how this can be translated to the mainland. And I think this is very important, and especially because islands are the first to start with the energy transition, with low budgets maybe, and with high needs. This is where we should look at, and like this, islands could really serve as lighthouses for the energy transition.